Alright, this is how to remove and replace the fuel pump on your 4th gen Maxima. First, you're going to want to depressurize the fuel system. So we start up here at the fuse box underneath the dash, down here for fuel pump. You can see how I find these fuses as I look at them in a row. 15, 7, 5, 15. And the fuel pump is that last one. So we go up in here, and right there, 15, 7, 5, 15. So get your included fuse puller. Pull out 15 amp fuel pump fuse, and then try to start the car. Just start it for a second and then die. And that's what we're looking for. And here we are on the back with the back seat cushion removed. It's fairly simple, just 2 little D-rings you pull out and the back seat pops out. I'll make a video on that later. Tools you're going to need for this job. I haven't done this in forever on a 4th gen, but should be a 10 and 8, a pair of pliers, and of course a new fuel pump, used, whatever, and a magnet is a good idea if you don't want to go fishing around inside the gas tank. Now I've been driving around trying to get this below about 1/8 of a tank, just to make it easier, so I don't have to go digging around inside a bunch of fuel down in there. But you could really do this with the tank almost full. It would just be a lot messier and not very fun. So start off with this is an access plate. Underneath this will be your access to your fuel pump, which is kind of nice. You don't have to drop the tank. This is held down with 3 10mm head bolts. You can also use a Phillips head screwdriver inside the top, typical Nissan bolt. You go ahead and pull those out. Actually, these are self-tapping screws. You go into little plastic inserts just like on the doors and a lot of other places on the car. So you're going to pull this off now. And you don't have to do this for sake of video so you can see what's going on. Just going to slide that back. You can see here, that's right, you also need a Phillips head screwdriver for these fuel hose clamps. You'll see 2 fuel hoses right here and 2 connectors right here. You got a connector for your fuel pump, a connector for the sending unit, and you've also got a fuel return hose and a pressure hose that goes to the engine, to the fuel rail. We'll start off, to disconnect these connectors, just push the little tab on the side and pull off. They may be on there pretty good. This one definitely is. Okay, like I said, just pushing those tabs and pull it out. This tab is on there pretty good. I use a screwdriver to pull that off, but should be alright. Now, loosen these 2 Phillips head screws that are on these fuel injection hose clamps on the pressure and return lines, or feed and return lines. Get them nice and loose and slide them off of the hose, off of this barb here where the hose connects. And just kind of slide them down the hose a little, gets them out of the way. You're going to want some rags on hand for any spillage that might occur. They're not going to come off just pulling on them most of the time. Let's get a pair of pliers. Try to twist them back and forth. Kind of break that seal they have on there. You want to be careful not to damage these hoses. The last thing you need is a fuel leak. This one got a little chewed up, but not all the way through. So you can start twisting and pulling to get these hoses off. Like I said, get a rag on there. Some fuel is going to come out, but it shouldn't be all too much. One part I forgot, you're also going to want to pop the fuel cap off, release any residual pressure in the tank. So otherwise, like you just saw, it'll just keep pissing fuel out in a stream like that. And that's just a waste. Some more fuel for you. Now, all I like to do to take care of these hoses is kind of wrap a rag around them and shove them out of the way. Just want to be careful nothing really gets inside them. Yep. Now, I'm going to try to sop up this fuel mess best I can. Alright, it's not a bad idea to blow out this area with compressed air, because this side here is open to the outside of the car. It's not really sealed in any way, just the top of the fuel tank. And you don't want debris and stuff falling down inside the tank when you pull this whole pump assembly out. My car's going to smell like fuel for a week. Alright, now next thing you want to do, you got 6 8mm head bolts going all the way around here. Pull all 6 of those out. And these are short little things too. You know, it's not much, just a retaining bracket that holds this sending unit assembly in place. The magnetic socket actually works best here, just so you make sure you don't lose them. And that's exactly why you need a magnet sometimes. Alright, now that those 6 are gone, just pull this little retaining plate off of there and set it aside. Now here's your fuel sending unit assembly, and it also incorporates the feed line from the pump and the wiring harness for power to the pump. Now, and I'll just show you this out of the car because I can't really get the camera in here. But there is an electrical harness down here. It disconnects, that brings power to the fuel pump. And there's also a hose, which is why you need your pliers. So, it's gonna get on the hose clamp. This one's just a spring clamp. It's not a regular fuel injection hose clamp like the ones on top were. Just that one should be a little easier. Just want to be careful not to tear up that sending unit, or your gas gauge will be off. Now once you get that harness unclipped and that hose undone, you gotta pull it out on an angle like this. Just clear the sending unit, the float for it. That's what senses your fuel level. It's a little, essentially a resistor, the fuel pump sending unit down there. That tells us, that shows you your fuel level up front. It also incorporates the low fuel warning light. I'd always thought that it was a function of the gauge cluster when the fuel level got too low, but it's actually built into back here. I'll show you that. You see on top, there's all your connectors you pulled off at first, and 2 hoses. And down here, there's where the sub harness for the fuel pump goes, and the feed line from the fuel pump, which comes up, and there's the feed line to the engine, and the return line, which comes down and just dumps back into the tank. Nothing special. I need to get some more damn rags. Underestimated how dirty I get this damn car. Alright, now, you can see here's the sub harness for the pump and the hose. So the tab, the fuel pump on the 4th gen is kind of weird. It's actually mounted inside the bottom of the tank and not to that whole fuel sending unit assembly like it is in most cars. I kind of want to pull the whole carrier bracket and everything out at one assembly to show you. You know what I did with this, and again I can't really get the camera in there to show you, just kind of pry up the screwdriver here, pop this assembly out, and also I pulled out the O-ring that resides in here. So typically with Nissan O-rings for the fuel tank, sending unit assembly and all that, if they get fuel on them, they just they expand pretty good, and it will never seal this again. Which kind of sucks. You also want to make sure you don't damage it on reinstallation or by scratching it with anything. So here's your assembly. Here's the sock for the fuel pump, and you can see this one's got some debris right there, which is what it's supposed to do, is keep shit from entering the pump. The hose assembly that goes up to the sending unit assembly. The sub harness for the fuel pump. The fuel pump itself is inside this little cage. I'm going to take this outside so I don't get any more fuel in my interior and show you what this is all about. And now here's that whole assembly that was down inside the fuel tank. It sits down in there like this. And here's a little catch you have to release. It holds the whole assembly in. You see, it kind of slides, locks in there, and locks in there. Now to get the fuel pump out of this little cage, you see it's got little tabs over here, little hooks over here. I'm going to push in like that, slide it, and it comes off the tabs on that side. And pull that out. There's your fuel pump. I just disconnect a sub harness, remove that hose clamp, another little spring clamp just like this one. Remove that hose clamp and pull that hose off. Pull the sock off. And here I'm putting in a 350Z fuel pump just because I have a dozen of them laying around, and this pump's getting kind of weak at 330,000 miles. And it is it's the OE pump. And also, to pull off the sock, the strainer, whatever you want to call it, there's a little black circ clip down there, a little black clip that can be a pain in the ass to get off and get back on, and they're very easily lost. Don't ask me how I know. So I'm going to pop that off, a little flathead screwdriver on both sides, or a tiny door panel removal tool. Actually, it's my personal favorite to use, and that pulls right off. And you can see here's a new pump. In my case, used, but less than 10,000 miles on it. And there's the outlet. There's where your harness goes in. And that's the inlet from the tank right there, where the sock will connect to. And there's a little post where that little clip will go on to hold that whole strainer assembly on. So I'm going to swap these out real quick and I'll get back to reinstallation. Right now I'm going to be reinstalling. Here's the new pump, and here's the old pump. You're reinstalling this new pump into this little cradle assembly dealer. So slide this together. And it only goes in there one way, so don't have to worry about it too much. Slide that together. Little hooks in there. Oops, wrong. And so it goes together more than one way, but just kind of clip it together, and there you go. You're ready for reinstallation. Now we're ready to reinstall this fuel pump assembly. It goes in just like it came out. Just snake her down in there. And you hear it click down into place. Pull this sub harness and this hose. Grab your sending unit assembly here. I'll put this O-ring back in, back on. You see, like I said, when it gets fuel on it, it just kind of pooches out and never really goes back to its correct shape, which kind of sucks. As luck would have it, I have a spare 350Z gasket. See, this is why spare parts are nice. It's not hoarding, it's collecting. There's the difference. This actually comes in handy. So, I'm going to get this in there. Plug in the fuel pump sub harness. I'm very careful not to get fuel on my brand new O-ring. Hose clamp back up on there. And pop it back down like it came off, which is lines facing forward, of course. Now I might have a little resistance there from that hose. I probably didn't position it exactly correctly, but that'd be alright. Get your retainer back in place, and these just snug, not even snug, just if you look at them wrong, they'll strip out. They're seriously that sensitive. 4mm threads don't take much torque. They can't take much torque because they're so damn tiny. I'll look at the actual torque spec, but and also if you lose one of these, oh crap. It's on the magnet, thank God. If you lose one of these and you decide to replace it with a longer bolt, don't. Either get that longer bolt cut down to exactly the same length as one of these, or just buy a new one from Nissan. Because if you use a longer bolt than what's here, it'll go through and it'll puncture the gas tank, and your car will smell like gas forever until you repair the tank or replace the tank. Seen it? Not pretty. Of course, that time was on an APS turbo kit for the Z. They mount a whole regulator or something up here, and if you put those bolts, it comes with longer bolts, and if you install those bolts all the way without that regulator and bracket in place, it punctures the hell out of the tank. And that's something you can really fix very easily. And that's good. Nissan actually put a long white mark on the feed line, or the pressure line from the pump to the motor, and a little white dot on the return line. And they're pissing fuel now. Great. Okay. Now, if you did fight with your hoses, you want to just take a look at them and make sure that you didn't go all the way through. If you did, you can cut off the end and slide them out even further. You got a little bit of slack here. Not much, but I fucked up that return hose a little with the pliers, so I'm not taking any chances. I just cut about a ½ inch or so off the end, and stick it on there a little further. Just factory. Get a little bit of slack, not much by any means, but enough to make a small repair should you need to, without having to run new line all the way up here, or new hose. Actually, shouldn't be that bad. I think it just goes right down to the underbody from here. Not even 2 feet worth of hose, but wiggle your clamps back in place. Make sure you get them past the barb, or on the nipple right there, so that they clamp onto the hose and clamp it down there, and don't actually sit halfway on, because then they might come off. Tighten these up. You don't really have to be shy about these. Once you get to a certain point, the screwdriver will just start camming out before you really break them. Unless you're putting a lot of downward force on them, then it won't, but don't do that. All looks good. Put your harnesses back over, and normally they'd be with this plate, so you pull the plate back over too. You don't want to seal everything up just yet. What you want to do is hook up your harnesses, go up front, put that fuse back in, turn the key on a couple times, let it prime, and watch for any leaks. Now, if you made as much of a fucking mess as I did, you're gonna have to sop all this up in order to see if you have any new leaks. And you want to put a rag over top of here just in case you nick that feed line, that pressure line. It'll spray all over the damn interior. Also been there. That sucks, and it smells like gas for months. Just put a rag on top, and just prime it a couple times, and make sure there's no leaks. And if there's no leaks, you're good. You can just slide that plate back on, the 3 10mm head screws. Put them back in. Put your back seat back on, and you're good to go. And oh yeah, put your gas cap back on, or your said evap code. But that's it. Once you're done with this, like I said, just put everything back together, and you're good to go. Take it out for a test drive, see how she feels. Yeah, that's removing and replacing the fuel pump in your 4th gen Maxima.